Okay, today is July 14th, 2013, and I have Aunt Nancy, Nancy Jane Varnes Simmons, and my mom, Geraldine Frances Varnes Worstler, and we're going to talk about Mom's airplane accident that happened on March 27th, 1946.
48.
And so Mom and Aunt Nancy are going to discuss the accident now. So whoever wants to can start. Mom, if you want to start, or
Well, this happened to be a Wednesday afternoon in March, 1946, 27th. And I was down at the store that afternoon, and a friend of Daddy's, Harley Kaufman, came in and wanted to know if he'd like to go to Goshen and ride in his airplane, which would be the last trip he would be taking to Goshen, because he was building a hangar out to his dad's farm. So my dad, of course, would like to have gone, but he looked at me and he said, "Would you like to go with Harley?" And I said, "Yes, that would be nice. I'd like to ride in the plane." In those days, it was unusual. You didn't ride in planes very often, so I was glad to do that. It would be fun. So I got in the truck with him, and we went to Goshen Airport and got on his airplane. And the last thing I can remember is going over the farm that we happen to live on the farm here, and then I
Spring
remember
Meadow Farm.
the Spring Meadow Farm, and then the next thing I remember, which would be 4 days later, I was in Elkhorn Hospital.
Okay, now Aunt Nancy's going to remember a lot in between those 4 days.
I was in college at the time. I was 20 years old, and my sister Jerry was 22 years old. But I was home for that afternoon from college.
What college?
So when my father said, "Well, no,
Were you at Wheaton College?
we're going to the airport to meet
Did you hear me, Aunt Nancy?
What's that?
Were you at Wheaton College or
No,
Goshen?
College.
Goshen College.
Goshen, Indiana. I
Okay.
was in Goshen College, and I was home for that afternoon, and so my father said, "Well, let's go get in the car. We'll go out to meet Jerry at the airport where they're going to come down with the plane, where he's going to land his plane."
Which was at
in
Harley,
Harley Kaufman.
his farm.
Harley
North of
Kaufman's
Middlebury.
their farm on the north part of our north of Middlebury. So the time came that it was about ready to drive out to meet the plane. And so we were there in time, and we saw the plane coming in. But the problem there was that Harley apparently wasn't skilled properly to have enough air elevation to bring the plane in properly, and instead of landing, it crashed. And the plane crashed in a very muddy field, which was in a time of March, so there'd been a lot of rain. So the plane crashed in front of us. What a shock it was. Fortunately, I could say this, the plane did not burn. If the plane had burned and caught fire, there would have been nothing that we could have done.
Mm-hmm.
But we know God had a different plan for all. But sorry to say, the plane, as it came down, the wheel and all of the front crushed Harley's chest, because he was, of course, the pilot. He was very seriously hurt. They were both very, very seriously injured. We were able to run down from the farmhouse to where the plane had crashed. Harley's sister had done some medical training, and she came rushing out.
Is that
from the
Thelma
farmhouse
Nussbaum?
to see what she could do.
Is that Thelma Nussbaum?
Yes.
Okay.
Oh,
There was nothing much that could be done, but as the plane was there, and we know that it was a very, very critical situation. I was looking off, and I thought, "Oh Lord!" And I could see in the air there was a flash that came in front of me, and I saw a myriad of angels. They were very small, a little like very fluttering beings, but they were definitely angels.
Like butterflies
Yes,
size?
very small. but myriad of those little angels in the air over this critical situation. We know that angels are ministering spirits, and we believe they were ministering at that time to the need. They called from the farmhouse. They called Middlebury for the ambulance. At that time, they didn't have.
I have a
paramedics.
question. How long did you see the angels?
Very briefly.
Briefly?
Very brief period of time. I don't know, a very brief period of time. So by then, they had called for the ambulance to come from the local mortuary in town. But they didn't have the paramedic skills that they have today. Well, this was going on, and of course, wouldn't you know, they got caught in the soft mud as they tried to get in there, and they had difficulty with that because here we were, and it was a very urgent situation. Jerry, there was another ambulance that came, I can't remember, they took Harley in first, but then they took Jerry in, the one from Middlebury. And she had a gash, total under here, wide open, and compound fracture in her leg.
Did you
Couldn't
see her?
feet, which was, and
That's
the
her
loss
again.
of blood was
Did you see
extreme.
her, Nancy? Did you see Mom?
Oh, yes. In fact, my father and I rode with her in the ambulance to Elkhart, Indiana, which was about,
Oh,
what, 12,
30.
15 miles.
yeah. Probably
No,
back
till
then
we
about
got
30
to
minutes.
Till
What?
we got to the hospital.
Why did Grandma not go with you and Grandpa?
She didn't know about it at the time. I don't know why she didn't go with us.
Well, she didn't know
But
about it.
when when
Grandma
the
Howe
word,
told her. come
when the
over.
word came into town, it had happened, then our pastor's wife, Mrs. Hirschberger, came and said to Mother, we must go immediately to the hospital. There's been a very serious accident, and Jerry was in his plane. Critical. Okay, by that time, we had finally arrived at the Elkhart Hospital. And fortunately, that afternoon, in the emergency room, was a surgeon. He had been a flight surgeon in the war.
Dr. Lunt.
And that's right. And he was there, and he gave the emergency care that she needed, the best that he could do.
Mhm.
But he said, I don't think you can count on anything. If she lives 24 hours, she will survive. But we can't guarantee anything.